Leah, I have to ask you, when it comes to the metaverse, is this the future? Do we all need to just get on board with the metaverse and make our own NFT characters and stop worrying about the physical world?
Look, I think the metaverse has become a bit of a buzzword now, and people are throwing it all around. And there's also a lot of centralized entities that are wanting to take a piece of this and own it now. Like we've heard from Facebook, for example, they're all piling in on this trend. Um, for me, it's less about the buzzword and more about the opportunity that it represents if we're actually pushing for an open metaverse, and that is an interoperable one that is permissionless and I guess allowing anyone to participate. Like if we don't have that, if we have kind of these multiple metaverses across multiple centralized platforms, then that's not really what we're aiming for. I think the goal is to ensure that the users, participants, players actually have some rights in this space. They actually have digital property rights over the assets that they can own on the internet. And if they're going to participate in this new world, that they can actually go into it and have some kind of, yeah, coming back to the idea of rights, essentially. I think this is going to continue to evolve, but really we already live in virtual worlds. We spend so much of our life online. This is only going to become a larger space, and I think the lines between the metaverse and the physical world will begin to blur. So people need to start thinking about, if you're actually going to spend a lot of your time in virtual worlds, don't you care about actually deriving some value from the things that you generate and own and care about in virtual worlds in exactly the same way that you would in the real world? Like, you hear people all the time talk about virtual land. Like, why would I care about virtual land? Like, who cares? You could just make as much of it as possible. I think that's just a bit of a disconnect in terms of how people think about how they value things. Obviously, in the real world, if you own virtual land, you're going to want like a proper certification to say that you actually own that land and you can subscribe value to it. And I think more and more, once people realize that they're spending a lot of time in virtual worlds, they're going to want those same kind of claim to value in those new worlds. So it's just a new idea. And I honestly think if you go back to the start of this year, when we made the Play to Earn documentary, we made a real decision not to include the word NFT in it because no one knew what an NFT was. Fast forward to February and March, it was like the only word that people knew in their vocabulary. So if that's something to go by, I think that we are fast forwarding to this virtual future. And, it's not going to be long before people kind of realize that they actually have quite a lot of value to claim in virtual worlds.